The man, known to history as Jesus Christ, or Yeshua in his native Aramaic language, was born in Judea, a region in the southern Levant in the Middle East. While the Christian calendar commonly designates 1 AD as the year of Jesus' birth, most scholars believe, based on circumstantial evidence from events in the Roman world, that he was likely born between 7 BC and 4 BC. This causes considerable debate, as there is no clear historical documentation of his exact birth year. Though Christmas is celebrated on December 25th, there is no solid evidence to confirm this date. Almost everything about Jesus' life, from his birth to his death, as well as his resurrection, has been scrutinized by both believers and non-believers alike. The tale of Jesus' birth is one of the best-known stories in the world and is found in the Gospels of Luke and Matthew. The most detailed account is in Luke, who writes that his mother Mary, a young virgin from Nazareth in Galilee, was due to marry Joseph, a carpenter who was allegedly a descendant of the biblical King David. God sent the angel Gabriel to inform Mary of his plan, that she was to conceive a child from God through the Holy Spirit. Matthew's version differs slightly, stating that the angel appeared to Joseph and reassured him to marry Mary despite her pregnancy, as she was carrying the child of God. However, some scholars point out that the oldest traditions about Jesus do not claim he was born as the Son of God, but rather attained this status after his death and resurrection. A later tradition suggests Jesus attained this status after his baptism. The earliest gospel, Mark, does not mention the nativity, and in this view, the historical Jesus is portrayed as the son of two mortal parents, Mary and Joseph. The Gospels and other early sources indicate that Jesus had several siblings, with Mark and Matthew mentioning four brothers: James, Joseph, Simon, and Jude, along with several unnamed sisters. Imagine Jesus growing up in a regular family with siblings just like any other child. This connection could make him feel more relatable to us, and you might think about how he would have experienced family dynamics and potential conflicts while carrying the weight of his divine mission. Mary and Joseph were Jewish, living in a Jewish society typical of Judea during the Roman Empire. The origins of the Jewish people remain somewhat unclear, but they emerged from the chaos following the late Bronze Age collapse around the 12th century BC, dominating the southern Levant from the 11th century BC. From that time, the Jewish kingdoms, Judah and Israel, flourished under famous kings like David and Solomon, expanding from the Mediterranean coastline to the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea, extending from the northern shores of Galilee southward to the Negev desert. The Jewish people developed a unique civilization with a monotheistic faith, believing in one God, which was a significant departure from the polytheism that dominated the ancient world. Their religious practices included circumcision, observing the Sabbath, and refraining from eating certain meats, particularly pork. As time went on, the Jewish kingdoms eventually weakened and fell under foreign domination, particularly by the Neo-Babylonians, who conquered Judah in the early 6th century BC, destroying the first temple and exiling many Jews. Later, under Persian rule, the Jews returned to rebuild the Second Temple in Jerusalem, marking a significant period in Jewish history. When the Romans expanded into the region, the Jewish people lost their independence and became a client state of the Roman Empire, though they still had local rulers. The most notable of these was King Herod, who ruled when Jesus was born. Picture a society full of tension and religious struggles, where power dynamics shift between rulers and the oppressed. Imagine how Jesus might have felt growing up in such an environment, where his own people were under foreign domination. The most important sources for the life of Jesus are the Gospels in the New Testament, attributed to the four evangelists: Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. These Gospels were written between 70 and 110 AD, several decades after Jesus' death. As such, they are not contemporaneous accounts of his life. In the case of the Gospel of John, which was written much later, as much as 75 years after Jesus' death, its content is also subject to much debate. Mark's Gospel, the earliest of the four, does not provide information on Jesus' birth, leading many scholars to believe that early traditions about Jesus did not claim he was the Son of God, but only after his death and resurrection. Both Matthew and Luke, however, have different accounts of Jesus' birth, though they sometimes contradict each other on specific details. Imagine reading the Gospels as if you were a contemporary of Jesus, grappling with the significance of his words and actions. Would you see them as a profound religious message, or would you question their accuracy and historical value? Exploring this might give you a deeper understanding of how historical narratives are shaped. One of the most important aspects of Jesus' life was his teachings. Although interpretations of these teachings vary, one prominent message was the reversal of existing social and political hierarchies. While many Jews of his time expected a Messiah who would liberate them from Roman oppression, Jesus preached that the poor and meek would be blessed in the kingdom of God. The Sermon on the Mount, one of Jesus' most famous teachings in the Gospel of Matthew, presents blessings for the poor in spirit and the meek. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This was not just a message for the poor, but a declaration that they would be the ones to inherit the glory promised by God. In addition to his teachings, Jesus performed many miracles, especially healings. These miracles were seen by his followers as evidence of his divine powers, though opponents, especially the Pharisees and Sadducees, claimed he was merely using magic. One of the most notable miracles was the resurrection of Lazarus, which confirmed to Jesus' followers his divine authority. The miracles of Jesus are not just divine acts, but can also be interpreted as symbolic gestures of love and compassion. Imagine seeing these acts not just as supernatural events, but as profound messages about the human spirit and the power of kindness. After spending time teaching in Galilee, Jesus made his way to Jerusalem to celebrate the Jewish festival of Passover. This journey marked a significant turning point in his life, as it brought him into direct confrontation with both the religious authorities and the Roman Empire. The Gospels tell us that upon entering Jerusalem, Jesus was hailed by the people as a king, with crowds chanting, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." However, this growing popularity caused alarm among the religious leaders, who saw Jesus as a threat to their authority and the social order. Jesus didn't just challenge the status quo, he openly condemned the practices of the temple priests, accusing them of corruption. At the Last Supper, Jesus shared a final meal with his disciples, during which he predicted that one of them would betray him. The Gospels describe the moment when Jesus broke the bread and shared the wine, symbolizing his body and blood, which became central to the Christian practice of the Eucharist. You can visualize this moment in Jerusalem as a dramatic turning point where hope and fear collide. The Last Supper represents a deep moment of unity and yet impending separation. It's a powerful metaphor for life's most difficult moments, where the end of one chapter signals the beginning of another. After the Last Supper, Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray, deeply distressed about the fate that awaited him. He knew his death was imminent, and although he prayed for it to pass, he ultimately accepted God's will. Jesus was betrayed by Judas, one of his disciples, who identified him to the authorities by kissing him. He was arrested, tried before the high priest, and handed over to Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. Though Pilate found no fault in Jesus, he succumbed to the pressure of the religious authorities and the mob ordering his crucifixion. As Jesus hung on the cross, he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" This poignant moment signifies his human suffering and anguish. After his death, his body was placed in a tomb, and 3 days later, his followers found the tomb empty. Jesus had risen from the dead, and this event solidified his followers' belief in his divine nature. Imagine experiencing Jesus' final moments through the eyes of a follower. His cry on the cross is a moment of profound vulnerability, revealing both his humanity and his faith. The resurrection is a powerful symbol of hope, a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is the possibility of renewal. Today, the image of Jesus is not only tied to religious teachings, but is also a symbol of love, sacrifice, and forgiveness. Famous sayings like, "Love your enemies," and "Blessed are the poor in spirit," resonate with people around the world. His teachings on love, forgiveness, and peace continue to inspire and guide millions of Christians today. However, Jesus' legacy has also led to divisions throughout history, from the Great Schism to various religious wars. Despite these divisions, his teachings remain influential across cultures, societies, and politics worldwide. Reflect on the image of Jesus today and what his teachings would mean in the modern world. How might his message of peace and love challenge today's political and social divisions? His legacy invites deep reflection on how we treat others and how we reconcile with the world around us. In the early centuries of Christianity, Jesus' followers faced severe persecution from the Roman Empire. These persecutions began with Emperor Nero, who blamed Christians for the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. Christians were arrested, tortured, and publicly executed in brutal ways, often thrown to wild animals or crucified. Despite facing such persecution, the faith of Christians did not waver. Over time, Christianity grew stronger despite the tremendous challenges they endured. This was largely due to the appeal of the message of salvation, love, and forgiveness that Jesus had preached. His teachings represented not just a religious change, but a social revolution that encouraged the oppressed and marginalized to seek redemption in a world filled with suffering. The endurance of Christianity caught the attention of Roman emperors. In the early 4th century, Emperor Constantine recognized that the religion was growing rapidly and could become a powerful force within the empire. Constantine not only legalized Christianity, but actively supported it. This shift was formalized with the Edict of Milan in 313 AD, which allowed Christians to practice their faith openly without fear of persecution. Imagine living in a time when your faith could cost you your life, yet still remaining steadfast. What does this say about the strength of belief? How do we define courage in the face of opposition? These early Christians exemplified the power of faith, transforming persecution into a vehicle for spreading their message. With Constantine's support, Christianity not only survived, but flourished within the Roman Empire. After Constantine's victory in the Battle of the Milvian Bridge in 312 AD, he credited Christ with his success and became one of the most powerful advocates for Christianity in the empire. In 325 AD, Constantine convened the First Council of Nicaea, a pivotal event in the history of Christianity. Bishops from all over the Christian world gathered to settle theological disputes, particularly regarding the nature of Christ. The council produced the Nicene Creed, a statement of Christian belief that established key doctrines about the nature of Christ and the Holy Trinity. Gradually, Christianity was officially recognized as the state religion of the Roman Empire, and what had once been a persecuted faith now became the dominant force in Roman society. The shift of Christianity from a persecuted faith to a state religion is a profound transformation. How does power change the nature of a religion? Can it remain true to its original values when it becomes institutionalized? This transition invites us to explore the relationship between religion and power in society. Today, Christianity is the world's largest religion, with approximately 3 billion followers spread across continents from Europe, America, Africa, to Asia. The spread of Christianity has not only been about religious practices, but also had a profound impact on art, science, education, and politics. The image of Jesus has been portrayed in countless works of art, from the masterpieces of Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo to modern films. The events of Christmas and Easter have become some of the most widely celebrated holidays globally, drawing millions of participants each year. However, in the modern world, Christianity faces significant challenges. The rise of secularism and religious diversity in contemporary society has led many to reconsider Christianity's role in the modern world. Consider how the global influence of Christianity is reflected in today's society. The teachings of Jesus are not confined to a single religion. They have inspired movements for justice, peace, and human rights across the globe. What would Jesus think about the world today? Would he see his teachings fulfilled, or would he call for a return to the values of love, humility, and mercy? Jesus Christ remains one of the most important figures in history, not only for his religious teachings, but also for the profound impact he had on human civilization. Whether viewed as a religious figure or a historical one, his legacy continues to inspire millions of people, shaping the world we live in today. His story is a testament to the enduring power of hope, love, and faith.